Good morning, everyone. I've been in Australia 24 hours, and seeing big pictures of myself on the main screen is going to wake me up if it doesn't wake you up. So my name's Andrew Pakes. I'm the Labour and Cooperative MP for Peterborough, a great city, working class city in England, home to a 900-year-old cathedral, one of the biggest mosques in England, and a great community where cooperation is at our heart. And it's a real pleasure to join you today to give greetings, one of the greetings on behalf of the UK movement, and to share some of the thoughts we've got about what's happening in the movement and what's going on. I already feel 24 hours in that I'm amongst my people, cooperators who enjoy good food and good wine. And I have to say, for those of you there last night, I don't think I've ever had food that good at a conference before. Usually it's tofu and rubber chicken, so I'd like to give a real special request for the great welcome you gave me. I'm here to learn about what's happening in the movement in your country, but also to share some thoughts about the ambition we've set as a government. I genuinely believe that we are at an inflection point for the movement. This could be a cooperative moment for us to transform how our society, our communities, public services work, but we have challenges within that, and that's something we're grappling on behalf of the British government. One of the last things I did before boarding a plane or travelling to Heathrow to come over here was speak in a debate in the House of Commons alongside MPs from all parties about doubling the size of the cooperative economy. So it feels fitting that one of the first things I'm now doing, setting foot in Adelaide, is to speak to you about some of that ambition and how it grows. I've been an MP for about 18 months now. One of the first visits I undertook as an MP was to 28 The Causeway, a street in Peterborough, which Kevin may know is home of my local nationwide building society branch, a branch that stood there since 1974, but started its life in the city much earlier, decades earlier, as the Cooperative Permanent Building Society, in an era where Winston Churchill was still our Prime Minister, and the world was very different to what it is today. To a post-war generation, building societies were part of a new social contract. Work hard, and you can get on in life. Get a home, make a future for your children. The cooperative and mutual idea has always been strong in the United Kingdom, but the idea of a purpose-driven economy feels even greater in today's world. Against a backdrop of division, short-termism and populism, mutuals offer purpose and social value to our economy and our communities, as I think all of us will agree in this room. And the building society and cooperative mutual sector is a vital part of that inclusive growth. And despite moves to demutualise our building societies by the right in the 1980s and 90s, an act of economic vandalism, I'm proud we still have over 40 building societies holding nearly a third of UK mortgages, and Nationwide stands strong, as you heard last night, and is still the biggest lender to first-time buyers in the UK. Now, just like the United Kingdom and Australia, our movement was born out of difficult and hard times. When my great-grandparents, over a century ago, set up a cooperative venture around the rail works where they lived, it was born out of a spirit of mutual aid and support. And that spirit of hard times and mutual aid has come into its own in these recent decades that we've seen again as well. Mutual aid and social solidarity was at the heart of the pandemic and the cost of living crisis we've seen in recent years. The cooperative groups, shops, helped so many with the cost of living crisis, striking a chord with people who want not just affordable, healthy food, but to give something back to their community. And I can't think of a greater spirit of cooperation in the UK than how we looked after each other and clapped for our nurses and first responders during the pandemic and looked out for how that goes. And if you look at those three dominant themes we've seen in the world over the last 15 years, the financial crash, the pandemic, the rise of populism, each of them stands in opposite to what cooperation stands for. And I believe partly the political choice around cooperation is whether we step into that space and become an antidote to how that populism is taking over parts of our country and world. And the UK stats speak for themselves about the health of the movement, and we've heard from Kathy some of them. The total income of the cooperative and mutual economy has reached a record £165 million. The sector's 9,342 businesses in the UK employ 1.5 million people. Memberships of co-ops and mutuals have risen to 68, nearly 69 million. Cooperative new starts are more than twice as likely to survive beyond the first 5 years. And you may be very pleased to know There's been a 49% increase in community-owned pubs in the UK over the last 5 years. In my own constituency, we are home to the English Mustard Growers Cooperative, an illustration that Mutual Dry covers a wide range of industries, not just retail that it's sometimes known for in the UK. And all of this started from cooperative principles. A few months ago, I attended the Co-op Congress in Rochdale Town Hall, birthplace of a movement, the power of 28 original pioneers organising against the odds, and today, power that is still a living and breathing force for economic good and social justice in the UK and around the world. The Rochdale principles still stand tall in this world. Democratic control with one member, one vote. Open membership. Pure, unadulterated goods properly weighed and measured. Profits divided fairly. Profits to educational purposes. Religious tolerance. And cooperation among co-ops at home and abroad. A genuine social solidarity. My own journey into public life and politics fits that mould of those values. Born and raised in the movement, even my annual visits to Santa's Grotto took place in my local co-op store out the back. Serving on the board of the Cooperative Development Society, one of our largest organisations promoting co-op housing and community land trusts in the United Kingdom, and now involved in co-op education and the creation of our co-op schools movement, and now serving as a cooperator in Parliament. I was speaking to some people earlier. I thought I should probably explain what being a Labour and Co-op MP means, because it's different down here. You'll all be aware of the roots of the Labour movement. Our Labour Party was founded in 1900, probably around a similar time to your Labour Party. But it's always been a strong tradition of cooperation in our Labour movement. And in 1917, we founded a co-op party, born out of a co-op congress that said not just the trade unions and working class voices through employment, but also working class resilience through cooperation should be represented in our Parliament. And in 2027, we celebrate the centenary of a 100-year pact between the Labour and Co-op Party, which means we have a Labour movement, but we also have cooperators like me elected and represented in our Parliament. And I'm proud those principles have also inspired the government in which I serve, because politics is about choices. And the choice we made at the last election was to present a clear manifesto commitment to double the size of the cooperative and mutual sector, which we're now implementing in government, with a record number of Labour and Co-op MPs. And the reason I'm proud to be a cooperative parliamentarian is precisely because it's only through government you can create better conditions for co-ops and mutuals to thrive. And in 2024, following our last election, we now have a Labour government that has cooperative party politicians right at its heart, shaping policy as never before. 43 of us serving as co-op MPs alongside taking the Labour whip. 5 of our city and regional mayors, 1,500 councillors across the United Kingdom, and government ministers in key roles in key departments. The Co-op and Mutuals Business Council has been created, as you heard from Kevin last night, a new forum for collaboration between UK government and the cooperative and mutual sectors. But why does this matter? It matters to me because it's about ambition. If this is a cooperative moment, we also need cooperative ambition. Now, I strongly believe, even though I'm a politician, that it's not the role of government to build cooperative enterprise, but it is the role of cooperative politicians to make sure the government isn't a block on that growth. So I'm honoured to be here with 2 of our heroes of the UK movement, in Shireen from the Co-op Group and Kevin from Nationwide. Because we need to create the conditions in which mutuals can flourish, where communities can come together and start their own ventures and undertake their own cooperative adventures. It's a partnership between the movement and government. And I don't know about the Australian movement, but for too many of my younger years as a cooperator, the co-op movement was about consolidation and mergers. It was about rebuilding what we had rather than extending into what we could be. The UK agenda now is firmly about mutual growth, and that's the ambition of having a manifesto commitment. It's why the Business Council is so important. Following the government's commitment to work with the cooperative and mutuals to double the size of the sector, the question now really comes down to where is that growth going to come from? From food retail to farming to financial services in banking and savings insurance, the housing, healthcare, energy, professional services, and a wide range of community-based organisations, cooperatives and mutuals represent customers, producers, and employees in whatever ways serve their mutual purpose. And the idea of the Co-op Council is to bring together our big mutual players to set out ideas for plans for growth. Just as we now have a government with an industrial strategy, the Council will help advise on a national mutual strategy. And we're already seeing some of that ambition coming through. As I think Kevin mentioned last night, we've seen the Cooperative Bank back in mutual hands after its takeover by the Coventry Building Society. Nationwide has just brought Virgin Money, adding more customers and services to the movement. But this isn't just about economic growth, as important that is to today's discussion. We're overseeing the biggest expansion in support of community energy in our history, in the words of our Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband. I was proud to work as an MP with government to put community energy on the face of our Great British Energy Bill as we take forward our climate ambitions and energy ambitions for the country. It's fine having wind farms and solar farms, but too often community benefit is a football pitch or community centre here or there. We want community ownership to bring a regular income to local communities that house some of those major renewable and energy projects and transform the way we view energy. The community right to buy was included in the government's English devolution white paper, which we're now taking through Parliament. The Treasury is writing to regulators, asking how they're supporting co-ops and how we get regulation out of the way of cooperative growth. The Law Commission is reviewing the legislative framework in which cooperatives exist. The Business Council has just published its first paper for the Treasury on British support for credit unions. And in our spending review just before the summer, 350 more communities will now get the resources they need to take back control of funding to improve their parks, youth facilities, swimming pools and libraries. And put that in context, for a community like that, like mine, it means a commitment over 10 years to £40 million for my area, a working class city that's being deindustrialised. Not for me to decide how that money is spent, but for the community to decide the regeneration it wants and put power back in the hands of those communities. And for me, an old lag of the cooperative movement, I'm particularly pleased that our government, in its Pride in Place initiative, has set up a cooperative development unit at the heart of our Housing and Communities Department so that we can support the movement and we can support communities in developing co-ops and mutuals themselves. Challenges exist within this, and that's why I'm here to learn within that. We need to learn from you. We need to understand, what does doubling mean? It comes down to ambition to me, and that is about political choices and the choices to do that. Does doubling mean doubling the number of members we have? Does it mean doubling the financial value? Does it mean doubling the sector we have in this? But the point of challenges in politics is to embrace them rather than run away from them. And that's why I think this genuinely could be a cooperative moment. Because most of all, the cooperative movement is about people. Individuals coming together to do great things to benefit their community, to improve their high street, to build a better life for their families and neighbours, a local, national and an international agenda in a world that feels ever remote, anxious and divided wherever you look at it. We can be part of the antidote if we seize the opportunity. The original Rochdale principle of cooperation among cooperatives, that sense of international solidarity, is really significant in this UN Year of Cooperatives, and it's a pleasure to join you and be part of your conversations today and for the next few days. Thank you.